Now, as you can see, I'm a little bit of a Zelda fan. All these games are fantastic, and I truly love them. But today, only one matters, and that is The Legend of Zelda Ocarina of Time. We're going to talk about how I love this game and how it actually brought me back to gaming, not once, but twice. Let's get started. Now, I actually didn't grow up with the original Zelda on NES. I didn't play A Link to the Past either for Super Nintendo. I honestly played, let's look back on this. It was for the original Game Boy Color, and it was Link's Awakening DX. That was the first Zelda I remember playing. I always kind of struggled with it, to be honest with you. It was really challenging for me as a kid. I would progress decently far into the beginning of the game, but I never made it, I would say, halfway past the halfway point. Made it to the halfway point. For a long time, I liked the Zelda games, but I always felt like they were too difficult for me as a kid, personally. All that changed when I was in, elementary school. I know I'm kind of dating myself right now, but when this bad boy came out, my life changed forever. The N64 is such a special time in my life and such a special memory to look back on. Even the process of getting the system was a big deal back then. This thing was a powerhouse and was everywhere you looked. Every kid on the block wanted the N64. And that Christmas, the N64 is probably the most sought after gift on the planet. And I just remember thinking how bad I wanted the system. I mean, I sat around thinking about it all the time. You would go into Target or Walmart, and they would have the displays set up where you could play the console, and they had Super Mario 64, and it was just blowing my mind. There was a few friends that I went to school with that already had the system, and I was honestly pretty jealous. Like, I just wanted to play these games so bad, and I was stuck playing my Sega Genesis, and I still adore that system too, and I love it, but man, seeing that progression into the 3D world from the 16-bit era that I was used to, and of course they had the 32X and stuff like that, Sega CD. This jump was so groundbreaking to me, and if you had to be there to be a part of it, I know other people hate to hear that, but you truly did. I mean, I don't think we'll ever witness another jump like that in gaming, in my opinion. It was that groundbreaking at the time. So moving along, my parents did surprise me. Not the first Christmas the N64 was out, but I believe the second Christmas. I got it about a year later after launch. I remember the first game I got was Super Mario 64, of course, and Mario Kart. And then, of course, finally, I had to get my hands on this, the new Zelda in 3D. And I remember popping this on the TV, and that opening score, that opening music comes on. And it's so nostalgic to go back to now. It still just pulls on my heartstrings when I hear it. And to this day, is my favorite game of all time, Ocarina of Time. It really is. Feeling it gave me as a child, the adventure we went on, exploring the world of Hyrule, getting your horse, Epona, for the first time, winning that damn race. That was so hard back in the day. I remember I had a strategy guide, so I had to use it because I went on to beat Majora's Mask right here shortly after I beat Ocarina of Time. A few years later, actually, shortly after, because I didn't really get games that often as a kid, just like I'm sure you did as well, or didn't. When I got my hands on this, it was just such an experience. I mean, the music, the gameplay, the combat, the puzzles, the world build, the characters, the story, it's really just that good and that groundbreaking. And I'm just setting the stage of how important this game is and how it brought me back to gaming multiple times. So now that we have a little bit of that backstory out of the way, let's get into the story of how it brought me back to gaming. So there's basically two time periods in my life where the N64 and Zelda brought me back to gaming. The first was, I want to say around 2010 when I was in college. And I was kind of sitting around playing Madden. I moved down to Auburn, the university I was attending at the time. I basically had a PS3. I remember playing Madden a lot for whatever reason. I don't know why, but that was pretty much all I was playing at the time. It's so weird to look back on now. But I remember the online play was free and stuff like that. And I was working part-time and going to school full-time, so I didn't have a whole lot of time and money on my hands. Well, I had time, kind of. Anyways, I didn't really have money to buy new games, so out of nowhere, I just got this nostalgic feeling of wanting to go back and play Zelda, Ocarina of Time. I got online and actually purchased this same Nintendo 64. This is not the one I had as a child, but I bought this one down in Auburn. Got the hookups for it and everything. Got Mario again, of course. You gotta have that. And then I bought this game online, probably off eBay or something. And I remember just turning it on and playing through the game, and I got to the water temple and honestly gave up at that point. I was like, I remember how frustrating this is, and I don't want to go through with it. And I didn't have the commitment back then as a gamer. But a stone had turned, for say, in my gaming life. And I kind of got into the retro stuff for a little bit and picked up a few more games for the N64, and then kind of just packed it away for a few years. It kind of came and went. But that's the first example of when Zelda came back into my life and kind of made me feel like a gamer again. Now, the second example is more recent and more relevant, I would say, even to the start of this channel. As you know, my channel name, well, you might not know, but it's a play on words with Link to the Past, basically referencing the game A Link to the Past. So, Linked to the Past, because Zelda, this franchise, and all these games I play are linked to my past. This channel, the nostalgia, is linked to my past. So that's basically in a nutshell what my channel is about. And furthermore, in 2020 when the pandemic happened, I got nostalgic again to play none other than Zelda Ocarina of Time. So I pulled it out of a bin, hooked it up in our apartment in Seattle, and started to play through it. And this time I went through the whole game and just fell in love with it all over again, and that sparked the fire to start collecting once again. So shortly after that, I grabbed this Ocarina of Time, Majora's Mask. And then I actually picked up The Missing Link, which is a reproduction, a game that never got released, but this is actually the story between Ocarina of Time and Majora's Mask. I've actually never played through it, but I hope to do it someday soon. Furthermore, this got me into retro collecting again, and then sparked the idea to start my YouTube channel. This YouTube channel that you're watching today. So I owe all of this to Zelda Ocarina of Time, and I just wanted to jump on here since Tears of the Kingdom's obviously coming out, and I want to make a fun video about Zelda, because it's such a special time when a new Zelda comes out, to me and all the other fans. If you're new to the series or a veteran, just make sure you soak up this moment with Tears of the Kingdom. You appreciate it, you value it, you take your time, because these releases don't come often and they are special. It's a special game, it's a special series, and it's something that should be valued and appreciated, because you'll never get that first playthrough again. So you'll never know how important this might be later on down the line in your life. I mean, kids nowadays are growing up on Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom and the Switch games, so it's a special time to be a Zelda fan. I'm actually just playing through Breath of the Wild for the first time. I actually just got a Switch, which that's a video for a later date. I'm having that moment again. I'm having that childlike moment again. We're playing through the game for the first time and experiencing this new era of Zelda right before our eyes. So thank you for watching this video. Make sure you give it a like. Comment down below if you have any games that have brought you back into gaming and gave you a similar experience as mine. And make sure to give this video a subscription. If you like this type of stuff, make sure you give this video a subscription. Make sure you consider subscribing to the video. I can't talk this morning. And we will see you in the next one.